the last time we saw Jaina was in Shattering, I believe. And it seems in that book she was this nice and shy aunt to Anduin. And in this book, she kind of seems to be becoming kind of a pissed-off archmage. I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit about what this book is about.
Well, I'll first take a little bit of issue with the description of shy for Jaina, because I think she's never been shy. She's just kind of been, she listens well, and she's a very calm person. But I don't think that she's ever truly been shy. But certainly that cannot be applied to her in this book. I had to laugh at your description of pissed off archmage, because that's kind of what we're getting to see here. What we actually see is much less humorous, unfortunately. Jaina really gets an awful lot thrown at her in this book, and she really is tempered like steel by the events that happen, and everything that she cares about, that she's devoted herself to, that she's really thought she truly believed, gets attacked and gets shaken and either destroyed or completely remade. And so she really, really goes through an awful lot in this book.
One of my favorite characters, I'm going back to the Shattering, because the Shattering was probably one of my favorite books in the Warcraft universe, was the Anduin. I think that he really kind of shined in that book, because beforehand we didn't really, he was kind of there, but in that book, he really got his character developed. Is there anything that, does he have anything going on in this book with his aunt?
We do get to see him, and I'm glad you brought him up, because he quickly became one of my favorite characters to write. There are some characters that, like some people, that are easier to get to know than others. And he was very, very easy to get to know and to really get into the rhythm of his personality. I enjoyed that a lot. And I actually, he wasn't featured very prominently in the outline, but I kind of pushed to get him a little bit more screen time, because I just enjoy writing him. And also, in many respects, he kind of serves as one of those, the student has surpassed the teacher in some ways. In his reaction to things, he is more level-headed and calmer than Jaina is. And so I think the dynamic between them is changed because of what Jaina goes through in this book, and also because Anduin's starting to grow up. And I enjoyed putting the two of them back together with this changed dynamic.
And what are some ways that this book kind of ties into the game and the event that we're going to see going live next week?
Yes, it does, and that was the result of a lot of hard work with an awful lot of people, and many hours of going back and forth. We actually have what I think is, as far as I know, a unique experience. I don't think game and book have ever been as close as they are now with this. We are getting to play through the events of the book. We get to actually, as a player, be involved in it. We get to stand with the Alliance or with the Horde and play through the scenario as it unfolds. And, of course, there's going to be some things, because I can't show everything, and I didn't want to. So there's going to be new things, I'm sure, in the actual game itself. But you will actually be a part of Azerothian history.
And I think even in the book there is a couple areas where you talk about 5 heroes, basically. And I believe that is who your characters are in the game.
That's exactly right. That's who you are. So, yeah, I had to be very, very careful to word things very specifically so that that it could apply to anybody. And there's going to be a Horde quest and an Alliance.
Yeah, and I don't remember that ever happening in a past Warcraft book, unless I just completely missed it.
I'm pretty sure it hasn't.
Yeah. So that's something that I think is really, really cool. So one of our fans wanted to ask you, so you've written a few books now in the World of Warcraft universe, and you kind of have you have a great grasp of what the world is like. And they were wondering, do you actually play the game? And if so, what class, race, and faction?
Oh, I absolutely play the game. I used to play more than I do right now, simply because of other projects and life situations and things like that. I just recently moved, for instance. And but yeah, I definitely played. I got stalled out at 75, so I need to get up, need to get back in and level up a bit more. But I have both Horde and Alliance characters, and I have about 4 that I play regularly, and I have a whole lot of other lesser characters that aren't quite as high a level that I played simply to make sure that I was familiar with the races and the classes and how they moved and things like that. So yeah, I've kind of got I've got a little bit of everything.
Nice. Another one of our fans wanted us to ask this, and are there any characters in the Warcraft franchise that you haven't had a chance to write yet but would enjoy doing so?
Ooh, that I haven't yet. This was the first time I really got to work with the trolls, and that was nice. I enjoy the Blood Elves quite a bit. I would enjoy working more with them. I really liked the little I got to work with Sylvanas and Arthas. That was one of my favorite pieces of writing, was when she's killed by Arthas and then rises as a banshee. Let's see. I got to work with gnomes in this book, which was good. That was something that I really wanted to do. I was they said they wanted Jaina to have an apprentice in the outline, and I lobbied to have a gnome, because I don't think we've really seen gnomes in being taken seriously. They're there for comedy effect because they're just so darn cute. But it was nice to actually have a character that the reader takes seriously. I don't really know. For someone that I haven't worked with, nobody really comes to mind. I think I've been very lucky. I've gotten to work with the majority of the heavy hitters in the game, and I've enjoyed that very much.
Would you be wanting to write any of the Pandaren stuff that might be coming out?
Oh, yes, definitely. I have not played in beta. I'm waiting to enjoy that with everybody else. But I did get to test it at the last BlizzCon, and Pandaria is just so beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to. I think the only thing that they've got in there is the Pearl of Pandaria comic, which the art is beautiful for. Nikki Nielsen, I believe, wrote the story, so you know it's good. But it's the only one that I know of, and yes, I definitely would be very interested in that. It's a beautiful setting, and I'm sure it would have a very distinctive flavor.
Yeah. Okay, this is where we're going to kind of get into the spoilers here, kind of the nitty-gritty. So if anybody is watching this and you don't want spoilers, shut it off now and come back to it after you've read the book. So, first of all, there's a quest in Stone Talon Mountains in the game where an orc bombs an innocent druid village, and then Garrosh slays him for committing, dishonorable mass genocide. However, in Tides of War, Garrosh does even worse. And how does that mesh up when he was shown, to not be too fond of these dishonorable acts?
It's interesting kind of watching this progress that Blizzard has in mind for Garrosh, and chronicling it and developing it, helping to develop it. And there's even a scene in the book where Bane is remembering this. He heard about this story, he heard about this, and he can't fathom what the heck is going on. Why this orc who claims to be honorable, what's skewing his vision so that he is able to do these things and then sit there and triumph about the honor of the Horde, because it just makes no sense to Bane. And I love Bane. Bane is a good moral compass, I think, for the Horde, just as his father was. And I'm still getting sad faces from people for killing Cairn. But it is. It's almost. Pardon me?
Said you get one from me as well.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend of mine who keeps bringing it up. It's very sad. But hopefully it was a dramatic exit. But anyway, back to Garrosh. This is something's not really right here, and I will be honest with you all and say that I am as much in the dark about the way this is going to go as anybody else. So I am developing him with a sense of the same sort of sense of confusion and not understanding as everybody else is. So it's the only thing that I have been able to in my trying to understand him is looking back on his history, and I think at his core he isn't very strong. He has been influenced by outside events, by what other people have said about his father, first bad and then good, and then trying to adhere almost slavishly to an honor code without really, maybe more in the shape of the honor code rather than its actual substance. What does it mean to be honorable? And he's surrounded himself with some very bad people. And as they would say, he's fallen in with a bad crowd. And so he's a little precarious right now with our Garrosh.
Now, you were talking about Bane, and, how does he deal with the guilt of, attacking Theramore for survival of his race when it was Jaina who provided him with the untraceable gold to pay Radget for the retaking of Thunderbluff? That's an act that the Alliance could have seen as treason. How is Bane handling that? That was something that I pushed for, actually, was to develop that whole thing more. I'm like, Bane has a very strong code of honor, and a real sense of fairness. He's a very grounded individual, and he does not like this at all. He does not like this at all. And he tries first the ways that he knows how, talking reason and logic to this and try to dissuade Garrosh. And then he has to weigh it. He has to weigh what is loyalty. And in the end, he has to be true to what he thinks is right. And he does what he can. And since we're doing spoilers, I guess I can divulge details here. Yeah.
And he sends a warning. He sends one of his runners to Theramore to warn Jaina. And he's like, I can't do anything more than this, but this I can do. And Jaina knows him, and she understands. And it would be great if Bane had said, hey, let's both stop Garrosh together. I'm sure that would have made her very happy, but she understands that he can't do that. She understands that his hands are tied, and admires him for doing what he can. And to Bane, that is balance. That is fair play. If this woman has done something that her community, the Alliance, would decry to help him, and he has now done something to help her, and he does not feel he has betrayed his personal sense of honor, or even truly the Horde. He has done what he needs to do in order to go to sleep at night, and that's what he is constantly doing. And I don't envy him, because he's got a tough road to hoe, and he's such a great character, and I like writing for him so much. I just always feel so bad for him, because I'd like for things to be better for him, and him to be able to just go back to Thunderbluff and be a Tauren, and he's not getting to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's got a lot of room with growing up very, very quickly ever since his dad was killed. That's for sure.
Yes.
So next question is about the mana bombs that were formerly created by the Sun Fury Blood Elves in Terakar Forest under Kelthus orders, and then used against the Cenarian Thicket and Kirin Var Village. How does Garrosh how's he able to get this technology?
Well, we don't really go into that. I deliberately left that vague in case that's something that we choose to explore and that Blizzard wants to develop later. But trust that he has eyes and ears everywhere, and he is able to utilize what he can find and even what he can steal. And he has utilized something that does not belong to him, something that belongs to the blue dragonflight, which is the focusing iris. And we saw that before in how it drew power from the ley lines under the former aspect, and did some pretty horrible things. It's an object of extreme power, and he is taking that and using it to augment what technology that he has. How his mages figured out how to use that, well, we'll just have to assume that they had access to similar sources as Jaina did, and that the Alliance is not the only one that has lots of spell books and lots of knowledgeable people.
And it's something that's going to be asked by a lot of lore fans, I think. Why didn't Jaina go to Koltiris to ask her brother, Tandred, for help? It's her homeland, and she was the princess of the nation. Why didn't she go seek that help?
Well, there's always the lore reality, and there's the this world reality. And the this world reality is simply that they did not want to bring that into play. And so we had her reaching out to other people for help. In this case, the Kirin Tor and Ronan and the others and others throughout the Alliance. She reaches out to Varian, and he supplies her with the top generals in the entire Alliance. So that was simply a direction that Blizzard did not want to go in, and therefore we did not go into it.
Okay. Can you go into further detail as to how Jaina's newfound leadership of a neutral faction is going to mix with her also newfound hate for the Horde? It kind of feels as though the two notions are kind of opposed to each other.
I don't even know that by the end of it, it's even hate. I mean, it certainly was hate, and that fueled her, and that burned through her. But by the end, she has come to realize that, if she truly hated the Horde, truly at her deepest core of who she is, she would have unleashed that tidal wave. And she didn't. Because she doesn't hate the Horde. She hates what they're doing. And she hates that the person who is at the leadership, given the leadership mantle of the Horde, is doing these things. And she will make that stop. She is bound and determined to stop that. But I don't think she's acting from a place of hate. I think she's acting from a place of justice and a certain inevitability. I mean, even Anduin, 14 years old, sees that. And, he blesses the troops, and he says, have justice, not hatred in your hearts. This needs to be stopped. I mean, Hitler needed to be stopped, and then the Alliance is viewing this attack by Garrosh as something on that level. It's an atrocity. It's despicable, and it's horrible, and it's got to be stopped, even if that means war. And this leader has to be replaced. I don't think that Jaina, if Garrosh was defeated, Jaina doesn't hate the Horde. She doesn't hate Bane. She doesn't, even at her worst, she didn't really hate that. She was angry and she felt betrayed. But by the time the book is done, she's moved from that place of fire and raw pain into a calmer place, which is quite determined. So yes, she is the leader of a neutral faction, and they know her viewpoint, and they have chosen her. So what that means, how that's going to develop, I guess we're all going to see how that plays out in game.
So how did Jaina and the Caligos romance come to fruition? Were there any other candidates for the love story? Or did you find that this just clicked better in the wider scheme of things? Over the years, the subject of a potential romance for Jaina has come up in various conversations with Blizzard. And there have been a couple of candidates for the possibility. And also very important to Blizzard and to me is this idea of, OMG, woman is not complete without boyfriend.
And, we don't believe that. So it's interesting because she is really the major female player and has often been defined by her relationship with Arthas. And so we wanted her to be her own person and the romance to be something that was important but not necessary for her. It was something that blossomed unexpectedly. And they decided they wanted Kalikos to be the lucky fellow. And I was delighted. When I read this, I just, that's perfect. That's really right. That feels really right to me. Because he is somebody who can really meet her where she is. He is somebody who is going through many of the same questioning that she is, and has had to deal with the loss of somebody that she loved, and has had to deal with anger, and has had to deal with leadership, and also a sense of, well, who am I in this world now that things are changing? And they're both really just really nice people. I mean, they're very easy people to hang out with, I think, and certainly fun to write. And for me, the romance felt quite natural. It was really easy for me to have them start off as colleagues, trying to solve a problem together, and listening and respecting each other, and enjoying each other's company, and learning from one another. Kalik has always been fascinated by the younger races anyway, and Jaina is an extraordinary person. She truly is. So for me, I thought it was quite the right romance, and it was secondary to the plot. It was secondary to Jaina trying to figure out who she is. And even at the end, we certainly don't have, and they lived happily ever after. They have a tentative relationship. They care for each other, but neither of them knows what's going to happen. And they're both people who have been wounded in love relationships before, and who have loved and lost in various different ways. So I felt it was quite natural, and I enjoyed writing it, and I hope that other readers feel the same way, and they feel like this is a very organic relationship that grew from very positive seeds, the best kind, which is respect and friendship.
So with this book, you've had to write about the deaths of several well-liked characters from the game, such as Krasis and Ronan. Has it bothered you at all to have to handle them? Did you get any input on who died? And do you feel the story has done them justice?
It's always a big deal to write the death of the character, and I know that I'm going to put to rest the theory. No, I do not hate Richard and I. We're actually good friends, and the decision to whether or not a character lives or dies, gets married, disappears, whatever, the big decisions come from Blizzard. And so this was something they wanted to see for the development and the growth of the game's history. It's actually a real honor to be entrusted with something that is that important. I have a bit of a reputation in my own writing for killing off characters, not just to kill them off, but simply because nobody's safe. And I think that if everybody assumes that a character is always going to be there and is always going to be safe, then that kind of loses some of their reality and their believability. And also when you write in a shared world, you don't really own these characters. The franchise owns them. People could do anything they wanted to any character that I created, or rather what Blizzard wanted to do. And that's part of the deal. You create something and they own the rights to it because you were working in their world. And I don't really have a problem with that. And I think if you do have a problem with that, you should probably not be writing in a shared world. Because that's very, very important, and you need to be able to let go. The flip side of that, which is actually really fun, is to read what another writer has done with your character. And it's kind of like, well, I played with this character for a while, now I get to see what somebody else does with that character. And I particularly enjoy that. I think that's great to see through another lens, as it were, what that character is like through somebody's filter other than your own.
Okay, last question that we have here. Not really related to this book, but fans, they continue to love your stories. Do you have any future Warcraft, StarCraft, or even Diablo books coming out in the future? Now, I know that we have Flashpoint coming out in November. I was wondering if you had any projects beyond that you're possibly looking at.
Well, right now, we just finished wrapping up the galleys on Flashpoint, and that's going to be out in November. I'm very, very excited about that as well. That's a true bridge between the two games, because a lot happens, and that's pretty exciting. That's was a fun book to do. Deep book, but fun to do as well. I do have another book for either a StarCraft or a Warcraft. It depends on what Blizzard wants to see from me. Contracted, so I'm patiently waiting to hear what my next venture is going to be. And I have some other things on my plate that I am not at liberty to talk about yet, but I will be able to talk about soon. So I am thankfully gainfully employed, and I certainly look forward to doing more books with Blizzard. I am not adverse to Diablo, but I don't know it very well. And I don't want to look too greedy either. I don't want to do all of them. So I think I'll probably be sticking to Warcraft and StarCraft for now.
Okay. Well, thanks for the interview, and I think we've got some really good information that I think the fans are going to love after they read this book. So really appreciate that you took the time out to talk to us about it.
Oh, my pleasure.